Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Planet of the Capes. I'm Ardella, cosplay devotee, and this week I'm going to be starting a brand new costume and taking you all on the journey with me. Each week I'll be showing you how I put together each individual piece of a costume to create the finished product. Of course, I'll also be sharing with you some amazing cosplayers from around the world and answering some of the questions that you guys send in to me. So let's get started. Sometimes one of the hardest parts of moving from simple costumes to ones with a little more detail is just working out where to start. A character with lots of pieces of clothing and accessories can seem a little daunting, so I found the best way to begin is by breaking it down layer by layer. I've decided to start working on a costume that's very dear to me, Zelda's outfit from Twilight Princess. Let's use this as an example. The first thing I'm going to do is break it up into the obvious layers. The pauldrons, crown, and tabard would be on top, followed by the purple vest and gloves. Lastly, we have the white dress. It's also a good idea to consider whether or not the character might be wearing something underneath, a petticoat or hoop skirt for example. Now that we've broken the costume down, we can work on each layer individually and plan our time to make sure we have everything finished without having to pull an all-nighter the day before the convention. I personally like to start on the bottom layer first, so this week I'm going to be working on the white dress. Often attention to detail can be what takes a costume from being just average to something absolutely spectacular. Zelda's design has lots of intricate details in it, and this week I'm going to be working on the lyre designs at the bottom of the dress. Ideally, I'd love to embroider these, but unfortunately I don't own an embroidery machine and I don't really have time to sew it all by hand. Instead, I'm going to show you a simple way to create these designs using materials you probably already own. The first thing we want to do is take a print out of the design and place it on the bottom of a nice clear piece of plastic or glass. Place this on top of a couple of stacks of books and pop in a lamp or other light source. What you're really doing is creating a sort of makeshift light box. Then we take the piece of fabric you want to put the design on and place it over the top. You should be able to see the design nice and easily thanks to the light. All I'm going to do now is take a gold Sharpie and very carefully trace the pattern onto my piece of fabric. Be careful not to press too hard though, or the Sharpie might bleed. So once you've practiced that a few times, it's time to move on and do it on the real dress. I'll be doing that over the next week and I'll be sure to show you the finished product in the next episode. But for now, let's answer some of your questions. Recently, Little Geeky left a comment on the Kapow YouTube page. She wanted to know if I had any tips on working with spandex suits as she's planning a new rogue cosplay soon. Thanks for your question, Little Geeky. Whether I'm creating costumes for myself or my friends, spandex and lycra are my favourite fabrics to work with because they can be very forgiving in terms of fit. They also have a great flow to them, which makes them perfect for creating things like skirts and capes for superhero costumes. There are definitely some tips I can share with you that will make working with stretch fabrics a breeze. Spandex can be a little bit frustrating to work with because it can slip and slide when you're trying to create a seam. To help keep the fabric in place, I suggest using lots of pins, probably about 5 centimeters apart. Something else to remember when working with stretch fabrics is that a zigzag stitch will allow your thread to stretch with the fabric. I find that if you use a regular straight stitch, especially on parts like sleeves, the thread will snap when the fabric stretches, which will leave you with nasty holes in your seams. It's also good to know that, like most fabrics, spandex and lycra come in many different weights. A lightweight fabric is ideal for something like a cape, but you'll probably want something a little heavier for a bodysuit or a leotard. You can also get cool effects by mixing up different weights and textures for different parts. So I hope that helps you out with your question, Little Geeky, and I look forward to seeing your costume when it's done. So this week I'd love to share with you all another fantastic international cosplayer. Tiger Lily is from England, and I first saw her work when I came across her Corpse Bride costume. At that time I was really impressed with the intricate details, especially the body paint and makeup work. It wasn't until recently that I found her Facebook page and discovered her other amazing cosplays. I've also really enjoyed seeing the progress photos of costumes she's been working on. Definitely one to watch. So that's all from me for now. Next week I'll be working on the next part of my Zelda costume, as well as sharing with you some of my tips for wig purchasing and wig care. I'd also love to answer some of your questions, so be sure to send them on in to the Kapow Facebook page. I'd really love to see some of your own cosplay creations, guys, so be sure to send them on in, and I'll see you next week.